This is the second video on the law of cosines from section 6.2, and we'll focus on the case where you are given side, side, side. Okay, so first of all, here's one of the three formulas that we learned from the law of cosines last time, and you can use it to solve for the length of side A. However, if you want to, you can take the same equation and solve it for the cosine of A, and just put it in a slightly different form and come up with this version. And this one can help you solve for the angle A. If you take the other two equations and solve them for their cosines, you can get two other versions. So you've got one for the cosine of B, what it is equal to, and the cosine of C. These formulas are useful when you need to solve for an angle measure. So, for example, let's say that you need to solve the triangle with the given side measurements. A measures 8 units, B measures 6 units, and C measures 7 units. The ruling wisdom is to solve for the largest angle first. If the triangle is going to have an obtuse angle, it will be the largest one. So the largest angle is opposite the longest side, and if you look over these side lengths, 8 is the longest side. So angle A is the largest angle. So we can start with the formula that is with the cosine of A. And here I have B squared plus C squared minus A squared, all divided by 2 times B times C. And basically what you're going to need to do to actually find the angle A is take the inverse cosine of that fraction expression. Now, the way I usually do it is I enter just the fraction in my calculator, and then when I have that result, then I take the inverse cosine of that. This fraction can be a little tricky when putting it in the calculator. One thing that you could do is to put the numerator in a set of parentheses and the denominator in its own set of parentheses to avoid any mistakes. Okay, after you do that, you should get that A is approximately 75.5 degrees. Okay, so here's what we have so far. Basically, we have two more angles that we need to find the measure of. It really doesn't matter which one you try to find, and you have different options. You can continue to use the law of cosines. So you could use this formula here, the cosine of B, and put in A squared plus C squared minus B squared, divided by 2 times A times C. And then you could do the inverse cosine and solve for B. Or a lot of people like to switch back to the law of sines since they find that to be a little bit easier. And since we already know that angle B is not going to be obtuse, we know it's going to be acute, the law of sines will give us that acute answer directly. So you could also perhaps set it up this way. A divided by the sine of A is equal to B divided by the sine of B, because we know both side A and angle A, and we have side B. So you could put the numbers in here and then solve for angle B this way, and it will be what the calculator gives you, since it is definitely an acute angle, and it is approximately 46.6 degrees. All right, and then once you know two angles, you could always subtract them from 180 and get the third one. And angle C then in the final answer will end up being 57.9 degrees.